what are your memories of working with Gary Hart?
Gary, the Vincent Price of professional wrestling. So I always thought that he was, had a little bit of evil in him. But he was a nice guy. And he actually took me under his wing and taught me a lot, about the politics, about the goings on, and about maybe don't say this to that guy, and, don't tell this guy this. And, so he helped me a lot. And he always had that kind of evilness about him. So when I turned heel against Kevin, I was in an ordinary match with him. And of course he beat me. And then when he turned his back, I hit Kevin with a chair. So that was the turn. And then Gary Hart was with me from then on. And I remember that, the Cotton Bowl, I believe it was. And when we walked out, the people weren't ranting and raving. They were completely silent, which was kind of frightening because we were expecting to jump out and, get physical. So.
All right. And before that, you wrestled Rick Rude, right? And I guess that was happening before that. You won the World Class Heavyweight belt from him.
Yeah.
That was 86, July 4th.
86, July the 4th. He was with Percy Pringle, was his manager. So I remember that. People went absolutely crazy. It was in Reunion. I almost remember the finish that Percy was holding me, I believe. Rick Rude came off the top and I think I moved. And either that or the other way round. And then I super kicked him and the people went nuts. That was one of the best feelings I've ever had in this business.
What was Rick like as a person outside the ring?
I loved him. He was a great guy. He's very, very strong. I believe he was an arm wrestling champion. Right. He was a nice guy. He was business, and I liked him a lot.
How about Iceman King Parsons?
Yeah, Iceman's a good guy. I liked him too. I've never had much problems with different guys because I would never get too close to them. And Iceman was a good guy. Some people had problems with him. When he was in world class at the height, he had a lot of competition against Buddy Roberts, and he loved Buddy. I remember that. So, I get along good with Iceman.
Were drugs really out of control in the locker room at the time?
I wouldn't say in the locker room, but I remember seeing picking up a needle or two, outside a school dressing room, and we all know who did that, and it was like, oh my God, I've got to hide this.
Right.
So locker rooms were pretty crazy. Kevin was always barefoot. He's the real nature boy, Kevin. I mean, for real, he's nature. I used to go up to their place. They used to go into their lake, and they'd shoot their M16s and shoot all the guns and stuff, and then go pulling up weeds in the lake looking for moccasins and crazy stuff like that. But, and Kevin had this thing about climbing, so in the locker room, he'd be climbing through all the lockers that run across the ceiling and pulling out football helmets and football T-shirts and stuff. It was pretty wild.
He was a pretty crazy guy, from what I understand, because I've heard a lot of stories about Kevin.
Kevin, yeah. He was crazy. They were all crazy.
Were you there at the time of the cat incident? Something with a cat and a knife?
Saw blade?
No, I wasn't there with that, but I heard that, he'd put a few cat skins hanging off the barbed wire fence along his farm. I know he doesn't like cats very much.
All right. How close were you and Gino?
We got real close.
Now, before the angle with Kevin, you guys weren't together. You guys came together after that.
Yeah, I turned heel against Kevin. So, of course, that was an individual thing. And then I remember Gino coming on the scene. He'd been down in Houston for years and really done good there. And he came
Joe
in.
Blanchard?
Yeah.
Tully's dead.
No, it wasn't him. It was the guy in Houston, and I can't remember his name. Pubash, yeah. And he'd work. I remember hearing he got a phenomenal amount of money back in them days just for one day a week, every Friday night.
Right.
And he'd be on that TV, that Houston TV in, surrounding district. And he was the top heel. And Gino was a trip. I mean, he liked to live the high life. I remember seeing him in his Brioni suit. And, Italian shoes. And I mean, it was great. I loved him. And he came to the scene. One day I saw him in the office and he was talking to Ken Mantell, the booker. And I guess he saw that I had the top angle back then against Kevin, because I'd been friends so long, turned against Kevin. So, of course, you know, it was the big thing. So he decided to not join the bandwagon, but realize that that was the good thing to do. So we teamed up as the dynamic duo.
You guys were pretty much over at the time, like the number one heel tag team. So.
Yeah, we were.
Whose idea was to put you guys together? Just basically his, and then
I really believe it was Gino who initiated it. Ken Mantell liked it. I remember going out for a few meals with Gino. We talked about it, and we both liked it.
Right.
So then it became him and I.
Right.
You know?
What are your memories of some of the matches you had with the Von Erichs? They were classics.
Yeah, really funny. I remember they were always trying to, like, for example, the hair match. Gino and I made this thing that we wanted to go out and wrestle whoever. And then at the end, after we won, we would snip a piece of their hair and put it in a book and then talk about it on the interview. And in the end, we had a picture of everybody in the territory with a piece of their hair, you know, and that would build up. And we even did that to Kevin. And, you know, it was a lot of fun. We got a lot of heat. But some of the matches were wild. I remember Kevin's got this thing about, you know, if you give him a pile driver on the concrete, and then you look around, he's in the ring before you are. So he used to have to beat the hell out of Kevin to keep him down. You know, so as soon as you hit him once, you'd have to hit him 10 times and blow him up. I remember we always used to say, okay, you know, we'll keep on swapping, make sure that he does his job.
Right.
But they were wild, and the people loved the Von Erichs, and the people hated us. So it was perfect.
What are your memories of when you guys smashed the windows of the cars with the chains?
I remember that was just a good feeling. That was fun. You know, I wasn't meant to get up on the car and smash it with my foot, but I remember I did anyway. I thought, to hell with this. I'm not going to give Gino all the hate glory, so I'll do this too. But it turned out to be great. It was a shocker at the time. I know now, you know, Vince does it every week, but back then it was like shocking.
Right. Were you ever worried about wrestling, getting in the ring with them due to like the reputation with drugs? And
no, I wasn't worried. Sometimes I was concerned, and I didn't like that much because, you know, you can easily get hurt. If someone that hasn't got the full coordination, then, you know, they don't know what they're doing, or they don't realize, or their timing's off, and you can get hurt. But knowing that, then it was like, stay out the way and just be careful.
Right.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.